Dum, 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 dum,
Space between, space between, space between. Space between.
What's going on? It's the Space Between podcast, where we talk about the space between life and art, passion and business, what's happening now, and what's happening next. I'm Pat Shand.
Hi, welcome. I'm Amy Shand.
Hey guys, this is Shannon Lay.
And today, we're talking about the past.
Yeah, some high school experiences or what it was like
How we
growing
turned
up.
into the people we are today.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And what has me thinking about this is actually an obsession of mine, and I think a shared obsession in our culture, Netflix. All right? On Netflix, we're seeing this push to have all these shows that were popular when I was growing up coming back now. Shannon, you mentioned to me that you saw the new Will and Grace.
Yes, I
and
did.
that it's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Right? Unlike Fuller House, you mentioned, right?
Yeah,
Not,
which,
not to make
flopped.
this into a hate
I can't believe
cast.
that's a show.
Yeah, Fuller House is a show, and I want to talk a little bit about Fuller House right now.
Oh my gosh.
I do.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Me either.
But check this out, though.
But what does it spark for you?
We're going to review it anyway.
No, not a review, but
What Fuller House sparks for me is memories of when I was a kid,
okay.
obsessed with Full House.
Okay.
Okay. And when I say obsessed, I mean not the way that a healthy child,
Like thoroughly obsessed.
yes, not the way a healthy child likes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like some Animorph action. You know, I was obsessed in the way that I would record every episode on VHS to have eventually the complete series. Before it was a thing to have the complete series. And it was such a compulsion, an obsession, that I remember one day where I was in my pool in the backyard with friends, and we were horsing around, right? And one of my friends jabs his brother in the nose in the pool, and he was messed up.
Oh boy.
And at the moment I saw the blood, I realized I had been in the pool for too long, leapt out, and ran inside the tape Full House.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my values were not in place,
A
but
little bit skewed there.
indeed, and I missed the first 5 minutes, and that was my worry that
You were
day.
done.
Oh my
Devastated.
god.
It's
I
true.
didn't know. You were so obsessed with that show.
I was so obsessed.
Shannon, oh my god, I didn't know.
And I don't even know what it was, but I love the show so much that I wanted to collect.
I'm surprised you haven't seen Fuller House.
I haven't seen Fuller House. You know what? I don't relate to young me anymore very much. But in some ways I do. This little side story I do. And this is what's going to push us into the main content of the episode,
Yeah.
okay? I wanted to collect outside of just the realm of the TV show. At that age, I would go to the bookstore with my mom weekly, and my mom or dad would buy me a book of the week. Normally, it would be a Goosebumps book, but Goosebumps only released once monthly.
Okay.
So I needed new content. So I was at Barnes & Noble, and I found a Full House tie-in chapter book.
Nice.
Oh my god, that's your
You
dream
needed
come
his
true.
fix.
Oh, yeah.
A book that is based on your favorite TV show? Get the fuck out of here.
The front cover was DJ. DJ Tanner. And then I pulled it out. I was like, my favorite character is Stephanie.
Steph was your favorite cat.
Favorite character.
Oh my god.
I had the biggest crush
Wait,
on
what
her.
was her,
The biggest
her
crush.
catchphase? She had a catchphrase. I know
All right,
she did. I know
Michelle was,
the twins
you
did.
got it, dude.
Yes.
And what was Stephanie's catchphrase?
Oh man.
I was too busy being in love with her
I'm
as a
gonna
young
look
boy.
it up right now because
Please look it up.
She had a catchphrase.
Please. Oh, how rude.
Yes, there it is.
I remembered it. How rude.
You're hilarious.
All right, so I turned this book over.
Unbelievable.
I turned the book over to read the synopsis. I was not greeted by a synopsis. I was greeted by a picture that, at that time, obviously not now, but I considered Stephanie Tanner to be my dream girl, right?
Okay.
I must have been like 8 years old. You know, she was like 12. I turned the book over and I was greeted with what I'd never seen before: a second front cover of Stephanie Tanner.
Nice.
It was beautiful. It was pink. I wanted it so bad.
Wanted her.
And you know what though? It wasn't only that I had a crush, but I empathized with Stephanie Tanner. I empathized with her journey.
He was in love.
I related to her. Okay, so
The middle child.
yeah,
Yeah.
I presented my mom the book. Okay, and she said to me that she thought it might have been a bit too girly. It was
Little
for girls.
did she know.
Little did
That
she
is
know.
because of your love of her.
No, it wasn't just that though. It was more than just my crush. I related to Stephanie. So yeah, my mom was concerned that it was a bit too girly, that it was for girls. And what did I do as a well-adjusted child but cry?
Aww.
I cried. So we went to the Goosebumps section where there were more horror stories. And I love those stories, but my mind and heart was set on this Full House book. So my mom, devastated that I'd cried, came back to me with the book crying as well,
Aw, mommy.
saying that she was wrong.
Aw,
Bought the
she's
book
a
for me.
total sweetheart
She's
too.
an angel.
And if I know my mom, I don't remember this part of the story because once I got the book, I was fucking set, okay? But
That's the end of his story.
if I know my mom, that day we left that bookstore with probably about 10 books because she felt real bad, okay? So yeah, I felt that was my first experience with something that I couldn't have imagined being gendered was gendered. And it wasn't my mom's fault. She had been conditioned to raise. And I think that in some way we're all conditioned to think that pink is for girls. A book with a girl on the cover is for girls, right? Whereas that isn't quite the case with girls shopping for their content. You know, like
Yeah.
it's seen as more acceptable for girls to buy things that are for boys than girls to buy things and boys to buy things that are quote unquote for girls.
And that
But even
only
still,
just
Mom wants-
happened
Oh, go
currently.
ahead.
Yeah, that only just happened currently. Like back in the day, it wasn't acceptable for either sex to buy something.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was
But-
just gonna say. Like,
yeah.
moms want their daughters to buy little dolls and little doll houses and
Yeah.
makeup kits and whatnot anyway. And if they go for like a sports car or like a transformer, the moms are still like, what?
That's for
You know?
boys or something. Yeah, and it's like, well, the story that Pat just told, like, inspired him to have the same thing happen to a character in our book Destiny New York. He's a seer and his name is Anthony, and he wrote an experience for him that was very similar, and Anthony ends up, you know, kind of standing up for it, that it shouldn't be what's for girls and what's for boys. And well, it makes me think of a story of, well, this happened to me several times growing up. I am queer, and when I was growing up, I didn't feel very girly or boyish. I was just in a gray area, and shopping with my parents, or well, specifically even my grandma, who just couldn't get it, you know. I wasn't out at this time, but you know, growing up very young, my grandma wanted me to have pink dresses and like dresses in general, but specifically very like frilly ones. And
Oh,
she
boy.
would
Little
bring them
cutesy
over.
ones.
Yeah, she would bring them over and like lay them out on my bed and stuff. And I'd always be like, no, I hate this. Like, get this out of here. And she would be like, what do you mean? Like, you'd look pretty in it, and this is what girls wear. And one time we were even shopping in Old Navy, I believe. And she, again, was like trying to force dresses on me. And I said out loud to her, I'm not a girl. And it just blew her away and confused the crap out of her. And she's like, what the hell does that mean? Like, yes, you are. You're a girl or whatever. And I was like, you just wouldn't get it. And I'm talking like this was me at like, I don't know, like maybe 12 or something, you know, like.
So what you meant kind of was, I'm not a girly girl.
Yeah. And well,
You rock
even,
your
like,
world.
Yeah. And even in general, like, I to me,
I'm
like,
just
I never
not.
even
Yeah.
understood that or whatever. And like, the easiest way was to try and explain that to her, like, in a Tom girl type of way.
Right.
But like, I wasn't necessally a Tom girl.
You were just letting her down easy.
Yeah. And it's just like, I just don't necessarily believe in genders. So, I wanted to be more comfortable with what I liked, and I'm still like that to this day. And like, it's interesting that people outside of me would say I'm femmy, but I don't see myself like that at all. I just wear whatever comfortable and
what you think looks good too.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel like anything should have a specific gender on it.
Right.
I mean, what does that mean, do you think, that when people say that to you, that you present as femmy?
I don't know. I think that they're just using a stereotype and comparing once again. Mm-hmm. And even, well, in a gay community, we still break that down of, are you the lipstick lesbian where you're like high femmy, like wearing dresses, makeup, high heels, but then there's that middle ground femmy, and then you jump all the way to being androgynous or butch or something, and it's like, I just feel like I'm still the gray area. Like throughout my life, I'm just feeling like I'm in a gray area. I don't go to any side. I'm just me. So it's weird when everybody consistently wants to put labels on you. Right. I don't know.
Have you heard the term chapstick lesbian?
Oh my God, no, but it's probably me. I think we've found my term.
I knew someone who considered themselves and coined the term chapstick lesbian.
Oh my God.
Because I think it's a little self-explanatory, but it's like lipstick lesbian, but no.
Yeah,
like
but no, not that girly.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it made me think about even like, what were you guys like in high school or anything? Because I was always just like I said, not girly, but not a tomboy, but I was an outcast for sure. Like I hung out with like the punk kids, the goth kids that weren't necessarily fitting in with others, and we would be the ones that were cutting classes to go smoke cigarettes outside, which I was recently thinking about how the jocks or cheerleaders, which, yes, all these stereotypes still exist to this day, they were doing drugs or experimenting with drinking or this or that, but yet they weren't the ones being as rebellious as us. And it just hit me that it's because they were a part of groups like sports teams or cheerleading.
And that mentality.
Yeah, and they actually would have got kicked out of those if they were probably doing bad in school or cutting classes. Because, in my head, I'm like, why was it only the bad kids outside of class, like, smoking cigarettes?
Yes, because you guys rebel on the clock.
Exactly. We didn't want to be a part of anything.
Right. They do some extracurricular.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Should I go next?
Go for it,
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I was just thinking as you were asking, it switched from me, and I always attributed it past tense to having like 4 brothers and a mom that, I mean, she's feminine, but she never wore lipstick, you know, and she like grew up in like a farm setting, she wasn't really the type to dress up ever or ever have the need to. And so anyway, like in elementary school, I every day wore like boys basketball shorts.
Yes.
Big t-shirts, big tie-dye t-shirts.
Just like your brothers.
Exactly. Just like my brothers.
I love those pictures.
But I was the oldest, so they weren't hand-me-downs. Do you know what I mean? So I just had like I was wearing like, because I guess, and then as I went into middle school, I would wear like one-piece bathing suits under my t-shirts and shorts just so that I would be like completely flat and straight underneath.
Oh,
and I guess, I don't know, or like skinnier or something. But then in high school, I made this switch, and I was the only girl in high school that every single day wore bright red lipstick.
Ooh.
And like wore like these crazy colored dresses and whatnot. And so then I switched into like that because I love makeup. So I grew into that a little bit, and it had to do with me having female friends. So before high school, I was very into sports and whatnot, and I dressed that way. And then in high school, I became more into musical theater, and I really enjoyed makeup and bright dresses and bright colors and whatnot. And so I was very like feminine. And then since then, I've kind of found a balance between the two. Right. Like, I enjoy collared and polo shirts and pants that actually have pockets that exist.
Oh my god!
Like I shop.
Why
in
don't
the,
girls' pants have pockets? Goddamn!
I shop in the men's section at the malls, Forever 21 and places like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a good part of your wardrobe has elements of clothing stolen from me.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I steal Pat's sweaters and shirts all the time. All the time.
So it was your friends. It was meeting a larger circle of friends that made you
Most likely, or just growing into like being more feminine. Like I guess after like during puberty and stuff.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah, but it's like nobody probably would have even questioned it too much if you were dressing quote unquote boyish or anything. But like a young boy that grow up would like wanting to maybe dress girly.
Right.
It's like the weirdest thing to some parents.
I was never
or like
really
people.
made fun of that I can think of for dressing that way because I was a girl dressed in sporty clothes. Whereas if it was a young boy dressed more feminine, I'm sure that they would have been subject to bullying way more so. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, even back as far as, wow, I think I came home from school in the 2nd grade and I had heard someone on the bus use gay as an insult. And I asked my dad what it meant. And I remember he and my grandma had a little debate over whether they should tell me. And they did. And it's very weird to look back and think that the first time I ever heard of that concept, of the concept of gay people in general, was as an insult. Right. And I think that, I mean...
Same, yeah.
Yeah, I hope that's changing. But kids are vicious, though, you know?
Yeah, well, when we were growing up, gay was such a big insult word. I think it has calmed down a little bit. Yeah. I remember there was, like, a huge phase of it.
Where it was like a derogatory term.
Yeah,
I don't know, like
people,
out of nowhere.
Even to the point where, I mean, kids use it as an insult to insult what they see as a feminine boy, but also...
Just in general, that's so gay, like to anything.
That's
like,
what it became this thing, it became synonymous with the word stupid to people.
Yes.
And that...
so weird.
That... I think has phased out more.
I definitely think it has.
In recent times.
When someone does actually like say that nowadays,
it stands.
I feel like anyone who's around them or most people around them, is like, what the hell did you just say?
Because the easiest word is lame to something like that's so lame.
It seems like such an artifact from the past.
Yeah, it does. I mean, so the first time, I guess it was. I don't know when the first time I heard it, but I remember the first time I stood up for the word before I think I even knew I was gay or anything. I was probably like 7 or something.
Yeah, I was going to ask you when you knew. Yeah,
probably like junior high. I noticed something was off because friends of mine were starting to like boys and everything, and I was like, I don't like boys, and I didn't think anything. But probably when I was 16, 17, I realized, oh, that's because I'm interested in the other sex, or like my same sex. But anyway, so when I was like maybe 7 or something, I was with my best friend, and we were at her house, like fooling around. I think we had an empty like refrigerator box, something like that, and we were like coloring on it and making it look like a house or something. Maybe we were even younger than 7. I don't know what age people do that at. Right. But her older brother, who was probably in junior high, came in and made fun of us for what we were doing and was like, that's so gay or whatever. And I remember like bursting out of the box and being like, I came out of the box, you guys. And I was like, don't say that word. Like that's not who we are. And I said something like gay means happy or whatever. So if you're saying we're happy, and like me at like a young kid age started to like articulate, I was teaching him the definition of the word. I don't know how I had already
on
been
your
learning
activist
this.
Game.
Yeah, exactly.
Little
and like
superhero,
right? And I
age
defended
7.
the topic or whatever, and he definitely felt
awesome.
I think a little taken aback, and he just like shook his head and left the room or whatever. I was like, whatever. he was a skater boy, you know.
See you later, boy.
I was gonna say that.
Yes.
Oh my God, you
man,
got there first.
You got it.
My genius wife. So what I want to ask you, and you as well, Amy. I mentioned that growing up, I had a little crush on Stephanie Tanner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ooh, I can tell you one of my first
That's
crushes.
what I want to know from both of you.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you already
Okay.
know.
I started to... Okay. Spice Girls was huge. Ginger or Jerry Spice.
I was
whatever.
gonna hope. I was hoping. As soon as you said Spice Girls, I was like, oh, I hope it's Ginger.
I was
Hell
going for the
yeah.
hoed out one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, but she was wearing those short mini dresses. I was looking at
You
those
were with
legs.
that.
I'm just saying.
Yes. Did you get do you remember, I'm not sure if I'm showing my age here, but there was a time where the ice cream truck came along.
Oh, I know
The
exactly
gum?
where you're going. The gum.
Yes!
The gum came with the stickers, and you collected
Oh,
them
yeah.
all, and it had all the Spice Girls.
That ginger sticker
Yes.
with the dress where it was the flag, where it was the
I know
Union
the
Jack flag.
one, yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
yo.
exactly.
Spice Girls was my first VHS.
For real?
VHS,
Yeah, I got it as a
nice.
gift
Hell yeah,
for my
yeah.
birthday.
This is becoming the fucking Spice Girls episode.
Yo, when I
Oh,
saw,
yes.
I
Love
saw them
Spice
live
Girls.
as a
Oh,
kid,
get
and
out.
Ginger had already left the band.
Fuck that.
I
Fuck
had
that.
to watch that shit
No,
concert without,
without
Ginger.
her?
No,
That-
I think
My
I
friend
still
in
cried.
high school
That
saw
isn't the
the
Spice
reunion
Girls.
concert.
Whoa.
Yeah, she saw like the
That's
reunion
crazy.
concert. I was a
Damn.
senior in high school. She went out of town to see it, and I was so jealous.
Oh my God.
Not to go too far down the Spice Girls tunnel,
Go,
but
go there.
all right. So your first VHS tape ever was Spice World. Mm-hmm. My first
So
ever
good.
CD was Spice World,
Ooh.
We're meant to be.
and in fact,
Nice.
one of the biggest fights I ever got into with my dad was Spice Girls centric.
Oh yeah.
He was lightly teasing me about my affinity for the Spice Girls and my excitement at seeing the movie Spice World. We were driving back from my aunt's house, and he was in the driver's seat, and he was making fun of the Spice Girls, and I've never done this before or after, but I was overcome with pure white hot rage.
Oh, boy.
And I lashed out and I hit him in the head. I couldn't help myself.
Oh my God.
I'm not the kind of
For
kid.
the Spice Girls.
I'm not the kind of kid who
Or
has
adult.
ever done that.
Yeah.
You know, I see these kids out here hitting their parents, looking
judging
like
you right now.
assholes, and I'm like,
God.
ugh. But my
you were
hands.
defending that girl power.
Yo, if
Yeah.
I ever hit my dad in the
Defending
head,
your
I
power.
would not be living to tell
Yeah.
this tale right fucking now.
Oh
It-
man.
It was such a tap. See,
my
like
dad was so scary.
my dad and I, like
Not in a good way. Sorry.
my dad and I did get into arguments growing up, but he didn't even like. It was such a tap. He didn't even take it seriously to get angry.
Yeah, yeah.
He would get more angry when we were arguing about like how to record something onto a tape, right? So it wasn't like a hit. It was more like a little like hit shove push thing.
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
a light little thing.
You had a
You were
reaction.
And-
subconsciously scared of me.
Yeah, and he was like, "Well, I'm driving," you know. But I'm like, "Well, then you should probably couldn't talk shit about the Spice Girls."
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, where were we before the Spice Girls shit?
Oh, shit.
Crushes. So Shannon,
yeah,
even
yeah.
before you had come out to yourself, even
Yeah, I
you
noticed
were crushing
like,
on Ginger.
patterns, and also, well, it's funny. Like I feel like once you're out, I feel like every girlfriend that I had, like just girlfriends, probably thought that, ooh, I must have had like a crush on them this whole time.
Oh,
which
sure,
is
yeah.
completely not true. I don't.
Right.
I didn't have a crush on any of them, which still to this day you can realize from the people that I date, we're a completely different
I
type.
hate that mindset.
Yeah,
Like, oh, you must be attracted to every single person around you of the same
Exactly,
sex. You
and
must
it's-
be attracted to me. It's
Yeah.
like, no,
It's like-
I'm still a regular person.
Yep, still completely regular. When I told people or whatever, it's so weird because it's like you don't want them to think that. Yeah, that like I've been around you and I've liked you this whole time or
Right.
anything. When I didn't at all, and it's like I purposely didn't come out in high school because I wouldn't have wanted to be bullied. It's like I was already an outcast, so like most people either like didn't know me and I didn't want to draw any attention to myself or anything. I told a few close friends that I knew wouldn't have had a problem with it at all. Some of them even like bisexual and stuff, so I knew like it was a safe topic. It's a scary thing to come out, and well, I don't come out at jobs even still because I feel like I have to test the water first to see if it's a safe environment
Right.
to even come out. It depends what age the people are that are around me, how progressive they seem. I don't know. It's weird.
Right, and it's not a situation where like you even have to ever tell someone unless you're talking about a romantic situation and that's part of the story. It's not like anyone who is heterosexual ever has to have a conversation that's like, so I'm heterosexual. It's like it's like duh, or who cares? You know what I mean?
Right.
And like Pat was saying before we started this podcast, we were chatting a little bit, and he was saying how being straight is a default status. So it's like
it's seen as that.
Yeah. So it's like, in a way, I feel like I continually have to come out again and again and again, and it's like. Right. Definitely a bit of a
But
burden.
Also against that, there's a community where sometimes you're like, hey, and then you have a stronger bond with that person. Like you had said, the conversations you had in high school were with people that you already knew were of the community. Exactly. So you knew it was a safe haven. Yeah.
Which actually, I have a question for you, Amy, because you would say you're bisexual or
bisexual.
Pansexual or like, do you feel like in the queer community that you're accepted, or do you still sometimes feel like oh, if you're not completely gay,
yes.
you're not?
And well, yes, from the queer community.
Yeah.
Because when you say like, hey, I'm bisexual, it's understood and accepted more so than by people outside of the community. And it's rare that ever like clashes. But I will say that like I've had. Like, for example, my work. I've had conversations with people who either know me or are part of the LGBTQ community, and they're more accepting. Whereas if someone who is completely out of that community, for example, like a 40-year-old man who's coming in just to buy coffee and overhears a conversation and feels comfortable enough because he's in every day to be like, wait, no, you're not. You're married to a man. Like, that's happened to me before. At work, and I am like confident in love and in my sexuality enough to just look at them and laugh it off and be like, okay, with like like a thumbs up and just keep doing my job. But it's true. But within the community, you know what I mean, like when we do, Pat and I go together to things like this. Like we went to the event that you were there at the Pride Festival in NYC, and when we go to things such as the Tegan and Sarah concerts, which we're going to tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
you're also going to be there. The community is really relevant. Is that the word there? Like prevalent?
Prevalent,
I would say. Yes. And really rich there because...
A sea of flannel.
Yeah, and sea of flannel and great haircuts is what I will say. And I always feel welcome there, no matter what. That's good. I would say yes.
That's really good. Yeah. I actually felt kind of not welcome at one point because I noticed that there's still stereotypes even within their community.
Yeah.
Like you can't escape stereotypes.
Definitely.
Sometimes like growing up or like when I was starting to come out, it's like I didn't know if I was gay enough, and I actually like cut all my hair off just because I thought that I had to fit a certain mold.
Absolutely.
And then it still took a few years to realize I just had to be myself. But still, I mean, sometimes if people see me as femme or even people that are more feminine than me, sometimes when you're out at gay bars or something, people mistake you as being the straight friend that your gay friend brought along or something, or you're just bi-curious or something. And I feel like I have to like stand up for my own gayness. I'm like, do I need to wear a flag that says it to even be accepted in my own community?
Oh yeah, I still deal with that. Like, just because being a part of the community, like when I was in a serious relationship, with a girl, and I was definitely the feminine one, like I had I love the makeup, had long hair, wore the dresses and everything, but I was definitely a part of the community because I was with her. And then like I'm like, when I'm out, you know, at a Tegan and Sarah concert or anywhere, do people think that I'm just like this straight girl with her husband here, trying to get in on like whatever fun or action or music or whatever's going on? And then I struggle with that, but then I really have to think like, these people don't know me. And if they got to know me, and especially if they got to know Pat, they would realize like, oh, he's not just a regular man. You know what I mean? And us together, anyone who actually gets to know us ends up accepting both of us as like one entity into like the LGBT community, because he's such a feminist and he's so, you know, different. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, well, but yeah, definitely struggle with that too. Like, I'm like, should I grow my hair out? But then I think, no, I'd like to cut my hair short, because that's one of the things I cling to. Because like when I have the short hair and then I can just like dress a certain way and go out, even with him, I will still look like that cool lesbian chick. You know? Like, even if I'm holding hands with Pat, I still have like a certain look to me that's like a little harder, you know?
Yeah, where you're true to yourself still. Yeah,
exactly.
I want to see you, just to cut in really quick, I want to see you with every type of hair imaginable. I want to see you with the short G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
Imagine the 11 on Amy.
Oh my God, it'd be so cool.
I've literally thought about that.
I could see Amy with that. I could see Amy with like this long, down to her ankles hippie hair. Yeah. I could see the world.
I wish my hair grew faster so I could go back and forth, but I always end up cutting it.
I was gonna say how you were saying how like Pat's like different and stuff, and well, one of the things I like about you, Pat, is that you are open with your sexuality or your gender, where you're not like,
and his
emotions. I have to be he's open with emotions. You're not like, I have to be the tough manly man guy. And like any guy that I feel like I got closer with in my life is guys that don't give a shit if they come off, quote unquote, once again, girly at times or something. Like, you're open with being like, yo, I watched this show the other day, I was bawling like a baby and stuff. Yeah, totally. And it's like, that's what's awesome. I had friends in high school that would dress up in like a girl's dress and like be okay with it, like and like do it if it's as a joke or like Halloween or something. It doesn't matter. They didn't mean it as a joke, you know what I mean? Where they didn't care that for the day their masculinity was like hidden or anything. Like, they felt confident enough in themselves that nobody was going to question if they were a man or not, because they like felt comfortable wearing like nail polish because they were a little like punk or this or that. Like, that confidence in a guy, a straight guy, to me is what makes somebody cool and have confidence. Is they don't give a shit if somebody thinks that they're too feminine.
Yeah, I think that a lot of men, and not the stereotype here, but I in my experience, a lot of men are scared of the idea of a gender spectrum, right? And within myself, I feel both a balance and an imbalance of masculine and feminine energy, right? And it's always shifting, where sometimes I'll feel super masculine, but more often than not, I will feel the exact opposite, you know? And
isn't it true that when you're angry is when you're, like, when you feel the most masculine is when you're angry?
Maybe the testosterone kicking in or something?
Maybe the testosterone kicks in.
But sometimes, like, you punch stuff, you know?
yeah, but so do you, though, too.
I would say that I have some masculinity
that's
in
true.
me as
exactly.
well, though.
I think
that's
so, too.
That's what's natural. So to deny that men and women, all of us, have masculine and feminine in us, estrogen and testosterone, is ridiculous.
There's both energies in both of us.
There's no guy out there that's like, no, I'm just straight testosterone. That's all that's in me. It's
I mean, they think, though. You know?
They think. They think.
And then they try to add testosterone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure. And they succeed. Sometimes, though, like, all right, because of my physical appearance, I can really only present as someone who is more masculine, you know? Like, I always have a beard. If I shave my face, within that day, I'll have these sharp fucking daggers coming out. So, really? What I try to do is, like, I like my hair to be done in a more feminine style. And I've struggled with getting a style that I like a lot that will kind of more show my personality. But yeah.
Sometimes we'll go to the store, the clothes store, and Pat will say, find me some lesbian clothes.
Yeah, that, or even like sometimes.
But just because he likes, the sweater look, like the shirt under the sweater.
The flannels and the style.
Yeah, exactly.
The gender neutral style is beautiful because I think that a lot of people hear gender neutral and they think this is a woman dressing as a man when that's not what it is.
No, it's not.
There is such a spectrum, and sometimes we'll be in the women's section and I'll feel a shirt that just feels like goddamn heaven. I'm like, I wish I could rock this shit.
So
like
soft.
this is, but it's not made for my body type because I'm built, as Charlamagne the God would say, like an iPhone wall charger. Okay, that's my shape is just 100% just, and that wasn't just a fart sound. That was me making like the straight box. I have no curves in this bitch. Okay. But yeah, I think that even in our lifetimes, I've seen men's clothing become a bit less masculine. I've seen a mix, and I think that's great. And I've especially seen celebrities and high-profile fashion figures begin to mix.
For sure, and they're the only ones that I feel like help break that barrier and boundary. Like once it's in fashion and a celebrity's wearing it, all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, it's okay now. Like,
I wish everyone, man and
safe.
woman, dressed like Jaden Smith.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
Jaden, I love Jaden Smith. I love how Jaden Smith dresses. And to riff off of that, there's this controversy over this this cover, and this is a while back, but I believe it's Young Thug's album cover, where he's in a dress and he has this nice umbrella over him. And people laughed at it, but the thing is, in 2017, right, who wouldn't rather Young Thug in a dress than DMX talking about shooting gay people?
Yeah, right.
It's crazy that, I'd say that you both know the song, Where the Hood At, right? It's a famous song. I was bumping that song. I can't listen back and hear that. There's a whole verse about shooting gay people.
That's insane.
In a random song about how gangster DMX is. And for all of that, I grew up fucking with DMX. I was a big hip-hop head. I loved DMX growing up.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's very difficult for me to look back at some of the songs I loved growing up through the lens of what 2017 is now. Oh yeah, we got some cats over here.
We got a lot of cats.
All of our cats are swarming over here. Hoyt is messing around with Amy's tapestry.
Yeah, Hoyt wants to take that thing down.
How beautiful are our cats?
Beautiful.
Oh, so beautiful.
Oh God. This has been really cool and informative.
Yeah, you mentioned something that kickstarted an old memory. Well, like how someone said, like that's boyish or that's girlish. Made me think of one time when we were at work. I was at Borders, and it's when I had cut my hair. And this like 16-year-old kid I was ringing up mentioned it. He was like, oh, I really like your hair. And I was like, oh yeah, I just cut it. I'm gonna go shorter or whatever. And he looks me dead in the eyes and he's like, oh, well, don't do that. You don't want to look like a dyke. And I'm like standing right in front of him like, well, first of all, I do want to look like a dyke because I am. But also it's just like, what a statement. Like, why does short hair have to do with that even? Like, it was so weird. I mean, now short hair is way more accepted on women.
Whoa.
Women, a ton of celebrities have
just
shaved
what
heads.
A dick. Who raised you?
Yeah, but
kid?
it's that's
God
how in
damn.
just like a few years times have even changed.
The audacity.
Yeah.
First of all, that he was confident enough to think that
yeah.
you'd be on board with every part of that
Every
statement.
part. He just blurted
One,
it
the
out.
slur.
Yeah.
Two, the concept.
Yes.
That's
He's like, you don't wanna
That's
like,
crazy.
look like that. Like,
As if you'd be like, oh, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Of course I don't.
Actually, I want to suck
Exactly.
your dick.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Fucking
but that's
asshole.
the thing. Like, people like say things around queer people not knowing if they're queer or not, and they'll just blurt things out. And you're like, you have no idea who you're talking to right now. Same with anything, even political. Like, people are like, you you love Trump, right? And you're like, who do you think you're talking to?
Oh
Like,
my God.
Actually,
no. One thing I want to touch on too is that we were talking about childhood crushes, and I want to hear Amy's childhood crush or crushes.
ooh, wait, I have one that I just remembered. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. He looked like a little lesbian.
He did. He did.
looks like
Yeah.
my mom.
Even the flannel he was rocking.
Yeah,
Home Improvement.
I had a picture of him on the back of my door, and it's him sitting on a stool, not like a comfy chair,
Yeah.
like a hard ass stool, yeah, with just like one leg like bent on like the.
You're like, if he was a girl.
yeah,
All he needs is a pride flag behind
yeah,
him.
and he
you
just
know?
like looks at you. Oh man.
Oh man,
He's
that look.
seeing into your soul.
Yeah.
He's like, how are you?
Yeah.
My young crush. Well, I had a couple, but the one that
I know who
was
this
totally
is.
in love,
Oh, man.
love with him was. You seen the movie Holes?
Yes. Is that?
You'll never believe who it is from Holes.
Oh, who? Okay.
It was Zero. The little
Who
kid
played
that was his
Zero?
best friend. The little
Because the main
reject
person
kid.
is Shia LaBeouf, isn't it?
Khalid Leon Thomas.
Oh my God.
Cleo
God.
Thomas. That's where Khalid Leon came. Trust me. I know.
Amy knows.
I was in love with him. Were you thinking I was going to say that or Aaron Carter?
No, I thought you were going to say that.
Because Aaron Carter's a dumbass now.
Aaron Carter
For the record.
is horrific. I mean,
FTR.
that is the most. You judged me for bopping my dad in the head
judged me.
over some Spice Girls shit. You were out here having a crush on Aaron Carter.
Listen.
Well, I mean,
That's
It
how I beat
wasn't-
Shaq.
yeah.
it wasn't as big as my crush on Cleo Thomas.
Of course not.
Yeah.
I had scrapbooks.
Oh my god.
I did research. I entered contests to be able to meet him.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't win.
You can probably meet him more easily now.
I'm sure, but now I'm not as interested.
Well, do we know what he looks
Oh my
like now?
God. You-
I mean, I would be interested. If he ever
Yeah.
listens to this, I do. I want to meet you. I
Yeah.
think you're very talented, and
You
I
were hoping
thought
for
you
a-
were very attractive.
a love
but I
connection.
did want to marry you. I did.
Aw.
So cute to me.
Ship has sailed.
Buttes.
Now, Shannon mentioned when she realized. When did you realize? And when did you come out to yourself pretty much? Because, Shannon, you mentioned that you had a crush on Ginger, but didn't officially come out to yourself until years later.
Yeah, until years
It was later on in my life. I was definitely always like a tomboy. I love sports.
Yeah.
Dressed as a tomboy in my younger life, but then switched it up a bit when I lost some weight mostly, and then gained some weight, but still dressed the same. I never actually like hooked up or dated a girl until after high school, and then I met someone who I was working with, ended up dating them, and came out then to my family and my friends like in the official way, and I was like 18 years old, 19 years old, right out of high school.
And did you have any crushes on girls before that?
On like celebrities, I had a crush on JoJo, probably,
JoJo?
but I mostly
Oh
wanted
my
to
God.
be her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
mostly
still
wanted
a
to
thing
be
with
her.
me. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be.
That's
the
how I
people
am right
like,
now
or if I
with
just
Ruby
if I
Rose.
like them.
Like, do I love you, or do I just wish I looked exactly like
Right.
you?
You know who I
Is
had
the real question.
I had a crush on, and who, it was one of those things again where, as Amy said, I'm not sure if I wanted to be him or had a crush on him, was Adam Lazara from Taking Back Sunday.
I can't remember what he looks
Motherfucker
like
swinging
right
the
now.
mics.
Oh, I do remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, my crush. I hate the term girl crush, but my crush, because I have a lot of celeb crushes.
Oh, I know
Because
who this is
every
gonna be.
celebrity's so attractive. Like, hello,
Can I guess who it is?
you already know.
Can I say it?
Yeah.
Young M.A.
No,
What?
it's the other one I was talking about that I said is the most beautiful woman.
Oh,
in the
Samara
world.
Wiley.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Talk about
say-
both of those.
Well, they're both amazing.
Young M.A. has bars. Have
She
you
just
heard
came
her
out
music?
with it. She
Shannon?
dropped a new
I
track
haven't.
recently, and it's so good. I love her. She's excellent. She's got great style. She's a rapper.
Yes.
She is from
She's
Brooklyn.
from Brooklyn. I'd say right now,
Insanely good.
right now, Cardi B is the hottest in New York, but my favorite rapper right now, favorite new rapper is Young M.A.
Yeah.
Like this year, I'd say My favorite rap album
She's a gangster.
is Jay-Z's 444. But Young M.A.,
Oh, that's a great
I've been
album.
waiting for her album because all her songs are fucking awesome. And if you guys hear
I
that,
hope that picked up.
I hope that picked up. If you hear our cat Hoyt, he yowls when he wants attention.
He's probably hungry. No, it's so early.
I
He's
fed
looking
them
at like the
at,
linen closet, meowing up
He likes
at
to
it.
be in
Yeah,
there.
he does. And your other
Samira
crush,
Wiley
ooh,
is
Poussey.
Poussey from Orange is the New Black.
She's a cool chick.
She is
Oh,
so
yeah.
beautiful. Wow.
Indeed.
Well,
is
to bring this
yeah.
around to, well, the topic also stemmed from Destiny New York, where we have
And speaking of how Pat is an interesting and unique and wonderful man. Destiny New York.
Yeah, he created Destiny New York that has openly gay, queer characters and bringing that visibility out there, which I feel like some people maybe would be like, oh, that visibility is already out there, but it really isn't. Like, you might be hearing about gay culture more, but it's really not on TV that much. I'm glad Will and Grace came back, because otherwise sometimes if there's a gay man in a TV show, he's just such a stereotypical character or anything that I feel like sometimes there's not enough layers going on. Or, I mean, still the only person as, well, TV show host is Ellen DeGeneres, but that's
Love
been
her.
the only person since
it.
she came out. And it's just like so many other people can be doing platforms like that, but the only person we're giving a chance is Ellen DeGeneres just because of the history.
Right.
And it's like we appreciate her for that, but like new talent just isn't getting focused on, I feel like.
It's
and
true.
I mean, well, in the comic industry, I can't think of too many comics that have the front runners being queer, but besides Sunstone. I can't even think of any others. Others just have maybe one character here and there.
My experience as a freelancer was that when I would create characters, I was told that it wasn't realistic when I had multiple characters who were queer.
Which is crazy,
It's
because
crazy.
that is what's realistic, because what you see in Destiny New York is groups of friends, and that is part of the community. Once somebody is gay, they are most likely drawing in attention from other gay people to form that community.
Exactly.
So it's not weird if, 5 people are friends and they're all gay. Like,
Yes. What's weird is one gay character among 20 straights.
yes, 100%.
I don't think that happens.
No,
right?
not really.
I mean, maybe it happens in like Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it
not
happens.
to erase anyone who
And
lives in
then that
Indiana.
person
but-
wishes they had someone
Exactly.
they could relate
Exactly.
to. You know?
Yeah, they're most likely secretly online trying to make those
Dude,
connections.
totally.
Part of my motivation behind the cast of Destiny New York, I mean, the main motivation is that this is real life, right? This is what I see. But part of it too was the fact that I was so often told to pull back on what I'm doing, as if creating queer characters is a political choice. When for me, it never was. I always wanted to reflect the world as it was.
Yeah.
And the world that I see, the friends that I have. And Destiny New York is just me writing from my heart. Most of the reviews that we've seen haven't even commented on the fact that most of the cast is queer. The ones that do have done so in a positive way. I thankfully haven't seen much hate. And I think that publishers expect hate. I'm not sure why.
Which is, yeah.
I don't know what is scaring publishers away from having comics that reflect the world more accurately. Part of me fears, and this is some experience speaking, that I think that some publishers don't want to reflect the world accurately. Some publishers want to create stories based on stories that they liked growing up, and those stories didn't reflect our world. Or reflected a different world,
They're
an
outdated.
older world.
Or
Outdated is a
they
great word
still
for it, yeah.
think that anything like that's a niche or whatever. Like,
Right.
oh, there won't be a big enough audience for it. But, like,
There so very is.
there definitely is.
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's another thing. Like, when I was growing up, I would look up any movies or books or anything out there that would have gay characters because I wanted something to connect to.
Yeah.
So most likely people are still doing that now when they're trying to figure things out about themselves and luckily, like, maybe they can find our book. And well, I've expressed to you before how I love how Destiny New York is written, because it doesn't focus on the fact that people are gay. It doesn't present it as this struggle, like, oh shit, they're gay, what are they gonna do about it?
Right.
Like, it's completely accepted. It's open in the world that you've created, which is in our heads the real world, that it should be just accepted.
And there's not that thing of the token gay.
Yeah,
you know?
there's not a token gay thing. There's no people switching teams, which, like, in movies was always the gay girl that falls for the straight girl, and like the straight girl that's now going to be with a girl and leave her husband, and so many movies that were like it couldn't happen because they weren't, you know, on the same page. And this is just, there's not an issue like that. It's either somebody's in a relationship or somebody's friend is gay.
Yeah, there's no real teams.
Yeah, there's no drama encircling it. I mean, I don't know if in the future we discuss anything family related, but I don't think that we necessarily would at this point. Like, I don't know. We don't have drama encircling the fact that people are gay. It's an everyday thing of life. We didn't introduce anybody as their coming out story or anything. It just started from page 1. This person dates girls. These people, you know, date same sex. Like, nothing's a big deal about it.
Right. And I think too that I'm not opposed to doing a coming out story, but I would want that to be one of our backup stories, because our backup stories are normally written by guest creators, right?
Yeah.
And I feel a coming out story isn't my story to tell. And I think that it is it's a delicate balance when you are a straight writer or even just a man writing queer women, right? So that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring on guest creators who do scripts in the back, who will do in volume 1 we have 4 short stories. In volume 2 we have 8 short stories that give the chance to give these characters a perspective besides just mine, right? Beyond mine. Because I want to hear what creators from different backgrounds can bring to this world. Because if our goal, you as editor, me as writer, is to create a full nuanced reflection of our world through this book, I think it does help to bring on creators who have a different perspective.
Yeah, you made me think of when we were at FlameCon. I went to a panel and I got to hear Nicole George's talk. She wrote a book called Fetch, and a few other books. But she actually mentioned how you shouldn't, like, write something that you don't know anything about.
Right.
You need to do research or ask people or this or that. And one of the topics they were talking about was trans culture, and if you were going to write something about a trans person and you have no experience with it, like, hand it over to a trans person, have them read it over, give their input, you know, research something about it, learn something, ask questions. Like, you shouldn't just think that you know what to do and, like, portray a character and have it come off completely wrong or anything. So I respect that you feel like it's not your story to tell and to have somebody else do it. Also, well, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, you know what, just to riff off of that, it's such a tough line too, because I've seen stories critiqued for what the person critiquing sees as bad representation, but specifically in the case of trans characters, what I wonder and fear is this. I think that there are writers out here who present as male, who might be trans and are trying to figure out that through their work. I think that there are women who are writing who could be non-binary or something, who are trying to figure out their life through their work. And even though they present as a certain thing, sometimes I worry that the way that we critique media will kind of keep people in the closet. Like, say,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel protective over just the idea that someone who is in the closet is being told maybe that their work doesn't reflect the reality of this life, when maybe that's the life that they hope to one day live. You know, that's a fear of mine. Sure. That's totally off topic, But I think that sometimes when I see this critique, I have an empathy overload, and I just ask, what if, you know?
Yeah. No, for sure. And like, yeah, I can't imagine how you were saying, well, we're lucky that nobody's said much about Destiny New York, like in a negative way. But if anybody ever did say anything about you as a writer, or like how you're writing females or anything, it's like, well, look at how many other queer people we have working on this book, and it's not like it's just a bunch of straight people
and
writing
females
about
too.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
I would say that you kind of veer toward female artists and writers, do you?
Absolutely, yeah.
When you're looking at people for the short stories and just for work in general.
I think that as a publisher, we've all been cognizant of that when we see that the percentages come out from publishers, they show up on Bleeding Cool sometimes, that many publishers hire a overwhelming percentage of men. I think that we've been cognizant of that while hiring.
For sure.
Do you guys want to get to the questions?
Yeah, of course.
Got a few questions going on. All right, and this ties in beautifully. Sabrina Alexandra asks, you know what? I'm not going to say that word anymore. Here's a question from Sabrina Alexandra.
There you go.
Is there any situation you've ever written about that was based directly on something that happened to you in real life? Do people recognize it, or have you been too clever? Take it over, Amy.
Mine hasn't been published yet, but yes, I wrote a short story. And actually, I wrote Clonsters, which has not based on real life, but definitely inspired by the things I feel in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
But I would say definitely there's a scene in my short story that I wrote recently that is directly related to, not the same name or anything, but a situation with someone that I know.
Oh, absolutely. Can I say what it's in?
Yeah.
Actually, that applies to the two things you wrote, but let me just say the first one.
Okay.
This is Amy's story that's going to appear in Destiny New York, Volume 2, Who I Am Now.
Mm-hmm.
Out,
my other one's about the cat.
Exactly. Out next summer from Space Between Entertainment.
My other one is a short story for the Planned Parenthood anthology entitled, what's it called?
It's called Mine.
Mine?
Yeah.
Cool. And so I'm excited to be in that. I wrote a short story, and actually it's based on my cat, Hoyt.
As someone who read the story and saw it through production with Amy and the artist and the letters, it's an awesome story.
It's a story about me, basically.
Pretty much.
Every month. Hint, hint.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We talked in this podcast already about how the scene with Anthony, his flashback in Destiny New York Volume 1 is directly based on my life. And there are multiple scenes, I'd say between 20 and every page that are based off of things that have happened to me, people I've known. And yeah, I draw very heavily from real life. A bit less in Volume 2 as far as specific incidents, but more, perhaps even more emotionally in Volume 2. So absolutely.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina. And just to cover that last question, do people recognize it, or have we been too clever? Personally, can't speak for Amy. I'd say people recognize this shit. Yeah, I'd say so. My mom certainly recognized that scene, and I like to think that she felt good about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's see.
Hoyt definitely recognizes himself.
Oh yeah. Lindsay Santos asks, what drives your passions to be writers and artists? And I'm going to throw in editors as well. And since Amy and I both threw down on that last question, how about you take the shit off, Shannon?
Yeah, wow. What drives our passions? Them being our passions, pretty much. I mean, a lot of other things that you deal with in life certainly aren't as fun. So why wouldn't you want to pursue them? We talked about in another podcast about day jobs or this or that, and that shit's pretty boring. So yeah, we certainly would rather pursue other things. I mean, I originally was going to school for art history, so that ties in pretty perfectly with editing images and everything. That's what's so great about comics. I'm not just editing the scripts, or I have actual images to look at. And since art is such a big passion of mine, I connected to that pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would say you're an artist in yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, art's a big part of my life. I still regret not fully going full force into that field.
You're also a wonderful musician, side note.
Oh, thank you.
It's true. I remember back working with you, you loved the artist James someone who was doing the Fables covers.
Yes, which I'm forgetting his last name right now, but yes,
maybe we should try to work on getting him to do a cover for us. Probably very expensive.
But
yes, hey, you know what? We're on the come up in this bitch. All right, so
James Jean is his name. A very beautiful,
brilliant
work
artist
from him. Yeah.
Personally, what drives me, I'll echo passion. Yeah, the passion itself drives the passion.
Exactly.
I can't not do this. You know, if I can't do anything else to the quality, the level of output, quality, anything that I write. This is what I do. This is what I love. I literally can't imagine doing anything else but writing. And to me, the production of it all has become part of writing. The passion that fuels the fire to write has always been there. And from the way that I feel about it now, I'm thinking it's always going to be there.
Yeah, Pat's a writing machine. Like, I mean, his fans can see how much content he makes, but it's a constant thing. Pat thinks of stories just every day and keeps lists of all different things that he could make into another book. And it's really fascinating to me how quick, even when you're given an assignment, how quick you can just immediately make up this entire story for it is truly incredible.
Mm-hmm. He puts out, and you put out a lot of content, but the way that you are and the way that you work is that you won't let it be anything less than good, which is really good, because you've been called like the workhorse of Zenescope before.
Yeah.
But you've also you've always been praised for the work that you put out as well. So it's not like a student who does all their homework and gets C's. It's like a student who does all their homework and also gets A's.
And Amy, as a musician, model, writer, sculptor, what drives you?
I love to be an artist as well. You know, since I mostly love to be a performer since I was a kid, always in dance classes and musical theater and whatnot. I love to be on stage, which is why I really enjoy the open mic nights and the community that surrounds that, and musical theater. I would say, what drives me is being able to create something and especially collaborate with another artist. First with music, it's really fun to sing with others and to make music with others. And then now that I'm into comics, it's so amazing and fun to have someone else who is so talented in another way bring my ideas and my words to life through pictures and through their art. So I would say that it's really satisfying. So for me, it's the output. Like when I model, I really enjoy seeing a great picture. When I'm practicing my music, I so enjoy the audience's, reaction when I finish a song or even when I start a song. And when it comes to writing, the end product just really, really excites me, and I just feel like, wow, I can't believe it. I never thought that I would be able to do something like this in all of those realms. So it's really fun. So what drives me to do the work is the product in the end.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I remember when Destiny New York Volume 1 came here, the shipment and the actual book was in our hands. I feeling like no other.
Yeah.
It was like heaven. And the same feeling will be here when Monsters arrives.
Right.
So that end product, they say it feels better to have written than it does to write. And that's true. Mm-hmm. That's very true. That's a great point.
And look at that passion that Amy was just being artistic and making clay sculptures. And all of a sudden she was able to use that to create an entirely another project of a whole book for it. It's like, just roll with your passions. You never know what will happen and come of it.
I love her.
No.
All right, so last question. Libby Rich poses this question. Can I come work for you?
Ooh.
So, I'll dive in, and then Shannon can back up too. The way that we currently hire is that when we need an artist or a writer, we let the fucking world know, right?
Yeah.
We post on our Facebook, on our Twitter. Follow us there.
Yeah, depending on the project.
Yeah. We take samples at all times. We're not, I'll just say it to protect my inbox. We're not, and Shannon's as well, because she'll see these too. I'll forward those shits right to her. We're not taking proposals for new projects, but we're looking always for new creators.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those artist calls that we put out are 100% real, and we're looking at all of that stuff and taking it into consideration. I'm wondering if she's even meaning working for us in general, though, like behind the scenes type of stuff, which of course would be a dream in the future, to be able to hire certain people for certain things, someone else to edit the podcast for us instead of having to take the time, someone else to do social media for us instead of
we do have
individually
a lot of things
having
going.
to. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a startup company, and we're doing this all ourselves, and I'm sure it can get pretty stressful, especially for Pat, to have that all on him at all times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we keep getting great support, and if each person just keeps spreading the word, which I really want people to continue doing that about anything that they like.
Oh, yeah.
Just tell people about things. When you're trying to support small businesses, getting it out there is the only way. And hopefully we can grow to hire people to be a part of space entertainment. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I think the short of it is that artists, always, writers, sometimes, other work, as you said, editing, social media, that stuff, very hopefully soon. One day, that'll be awesome. And I think it's time to wrap up, you guys. Oh, you know what we didn't do?
What?
Oh my God. We didn't tell everyone where Ryan is.
Where is Ryan?
Ryan's
Where's Ryan? Ryan's not here.
Where is he?
Ryan, our fourth member, is currently in North Korea.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, he's trying to undo the damage
What a trip.
that Donald Trump has done in
heavy
diplomatic
load.
relations with the
Good luck,
tyrant
Ryan.
in North Korea.
Good luck.
Everyone,
Best to ya.
best of luck to you, Ryan.
Best of luck.
I hope I see you soon, man.
Yeah, make it back alive.
Yeah, man.
All right, so this has been the Space Between podcast. You can follow us at Space Between Ent on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you want your questions answered, you can hit us up there or email us at spacebetweenent@gmail.com. So again, thank you for listening. And bye, you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.